F of Terrorism Prohibition and Prevention Act says I cannot be tried in Nigeria. That's the law of Nigeria. I can never be tried in any court of law in Nigeria. That's what the law says. Anybody standing in trial or coming to try me is a terrorist. That's what their law says.
Section what? As simple as that.
Section 2, subsection 3F of Terrorism Prevention and Prohibition Act. That's what it says. Any court considered to try me is committed an act of terrorism.
Yes.
Very clear. You cannot violate a treaty that Nigeria entered into and then come to try that very person is not done anywhere in the world. So you must be aware of that. So that is why there is all these ridiculous delays. That is what Supreme Court said. I did not jump bail. My home was invaded. They came to kill me and I survived. They came to Kenya to kidnap me, brought me back to this country and seeking to try me, which the law says cannot happen. You cannot violate a treaty that Nigeria entered into and then hope to stand on that illegality to conduct a trial. Is not done anywhere in the world. And it happened in my case. Nobody has, there's no exception. No exception whatsoever. That's what the law says. Section 12 of the Constitution, what does it say? Any treaty ratified by Nigeria becomes law. It's law. You cannot change it. It doesn't matter what they do. All this shenanigans is just pure rubbish. You never stand. Not with me. Okay. I believe in justice and fairness, that's all.
Nigeria is signed to extradite, not to rendition. And that affects the lawyers.
You see, right now in Nigeria, one of the most talked about legal battles is the case of Nnamdi Kanu, the leader of the indigenous people of Biafra, IPOB. And this week, something fresh has happened again inside that courtroom. Something that's making the whole case take another deep turn. His lawyer, Abubakar Marshal, has come out strongly to defend Kanu's right to file a new objection in court. He's saying, listen, my client has the full right under Nigerian law to challenge the court's jurisdiction at any time. Now, this might sound like just another legal grammar, but trust me, it's not. This is a major move. It's like when a footballer suddenly changes direction on the pitch. Everybody must stop and pay attention. And that's exactly what happened in court this week. The lawyer said, in very clear terms, that people shouldn't be confused or misled. Filing an objection doesn't mean Kanu has surrendered or given up on his case. No, far from it. He's saying it's a strong legal step meant to challenge whether this court even has the power to try him at all. And please, if you're watching right now, take a second to like this video and subscribe to the channel. It helps a lot so that more people can see and understand stories like this one. Now, back to the gist. This whole issue of jurisdiction has been a very big question from the beginning. From the moment Nnamdi Kanu was arrested and brought back to Nigeria, his lawyers have been shouting that the way he was taken, or what some call rendition, broke international laws. And because of that, they believe any case against him should not even stand. The government, on the other hand, says he must face trial for the terrorism-related charges that were brought against him. So, you can already see, this is not a small matter. It's law mixed with politics, mixed with emotions. Abubakar Marshal didn't just stop at saying his client had the right to object. He went further to describe the whole case as deeply political. And when a lawyer uses that kind of phrase, it means the matter is not only about the law, but also about power, image, and how the government handles dissent. He reminded Nigerians that it's completely lawful to challenge a court's authority at any stage, even at the Supreme Court level. He also made a point that got people thinking. He said, if the government can sit down and negotiate or even grant amnesty to people who have taken up arms like bandits and terrorists, then why can't they consider a political solution for someone like Nnamdi Kanu, whose own fight is more about ideology and rights? Now, whether you agree with him or not, that's a strong point, because when you look at Nigeria today, a lot of people believe that some groups are treated differently depending on where they come from or what they're fighting for. This case is now shining a light on that issue again. And please, before we go deeper into this matter, don't forget, if you haven't liked this video yet, go on and click that like button right now. Subscribe too, because these are the kinds of updates you won't want to miss when they drop. Now, let's move on. Nnamdi Kanu, at this point, is saying there's no competent charge against him. Meaning, in simple English, he's saying there's nothing in that case that truly stands in law. That's why he recently withdrew his decision to call witnesses. He said, why call witnesses when the case itself is faulty? His team believes that since the process of bringing him to Nigeria was unlawful, everything that followed is invalid. The court, however, is moving carefully. The judges know that whatever decision they take here will make history. If they allow this objection and agree that the court has no jurisdiction, that could mean the end of the current trial. But if they dismiss it, then the trial goes on, and Kanu's lawyers will have to open full defense. Either way, the judgment will carry weight across Nigeria and maybe beyond. And let's not forget, this is not the first time such objections have been filed. The legal back and forth has been going on for years. But what makes this one special is the timing. Kanu's team changed recently with the new lawyers joining, and there were reports that he didn't even have full access to his case documents for some time. That delay alone made people raise eyebrows. Some saying the system is trying to frustrate him. Others saying it's just normal court process. Now, if you follow politics in Nigeria, you'll know that anytime something happens in Kanu's case, it doesn't stay in the courtroom alone. It spills into the streets, the airwaves, and the hearts of many people in the Southeast region who see him as a symbol of their struggle. Many of them believe that his continued detention is unfair. But there are also those who think the government is right to hold him, arguing that some of IPOB's actions in the past created tension in the region. That's why this lawyer's comment that the case is deeply political hits so hard. It means the legal argument is only one side of the story. The real issue is about trust, unity, and how Nigeria treats dissenting voices. Some say this case could even affect how people see justice in this country. And again, please don't forget to subscribe. If you're enjoying this gist, hit that button and turn on your notifications so you'll be the first to hear when new updates drop. Now, let's look at the bigger picture. This matter is not just about Nnamdi Kanu or IPOB anymore. It's about Nigeria's justice system. Can the court stay neutral in a case that's this political? Can the government separate national security from human rights? And can citizens trust that justice will be served fairly, no matter who's involved? Because let's be honest, when you hear that someone can challenge a court's power to try him, some people say it's just a delay tactic, while others say it's a human right. Both can be true depending on how the system works. But at the end of the day, justice must not only be done, it must be seen to be done. We are also seeing that this trial is becoming a test of how Nigeria handles issues of regional identity. For decades, people from the Southeast have felt left out or marginalized. When someone like Kanu comes and speaks boldly, some see him as a hero, others as a troublemaker. But either way, his voice represents something that the government cannot ignore. Now, Marshal's point about political dialogue makes sense in that context. He's saying, why can't the government find a peaceful solution, something that brings healing instead of more division? And that's a question worth asking, because in the end, no matter how many court rulings come out, peace will still depend on how both sides handle the outcome. Please like the video if you're still with me. It really helps. At this stage, we're all watching to see what the next court date will bring. Will the judge listen to this new objection? Will they dismiss it and ask the defense to go ahead? Will there be another appeal? These are the questions hanging in the air. And because this is Nigeria, surprises can happen anytime. Now, here's where things get even more interesting. The phrase deeply political that lawyer Abubakar Marshal used, that one line is shaking the whole conversation. Because in Nigeria, once a case gets tagged as political, everything about it changes. It's no longer just about who's right or wrong in law. It becomes about interests, strategy, and public image. You start hearing words like national security, unity, and public order. Those are serious words, and that's why many people are now watching this case like a movie. Not just because of the drama inside the courtroom, but because of what it represents outside it. For example, many Nigerians are asking, if the government is serious about peace, why not open up discussions with Southeast leaders to find a lasting solution? Others argue that doing that might make the government look weak. But what's truly weak? Is it weakness to talk or strength to keep fighting the same battle for years with no end? Think about it. A lot of people in the Southeast are tired of seeing soldiers and checkpoints. They just want peace, business, and freedom to move around without fear. At the same time, the government says it wants law and order, that no one is above the law. So both sides say they want peace, but their methods don't always match. That's why this Kanu case has become like a mirror reflecting Nigeria's larger issues. And again, if you're following this gist, take 2 seconds to like the video now. It really helps the channel grow and lets me bring you more of these real updates in plain English. Now, there's also the legal side we can't ignore. When you talk about jurisdiction, it's not just big grammar, or that means asking, is this the right court to even handle this case? It's like saying, you can't judge me here because this court doesn't have that power. And if that objection succeeds, everything the court has done before might be declared invalid. That's huge. It could even force the government to go back to the drawing board. And you know what that means? More time, more drama, and more debates on TV, radio, and social media. Nigerians love court drama. Everybody becomes a lawyer when a big case like this is on. People will start quoting the Constitution, even those who haven't opened one in years. That's how powerful this story has become. But beyond the jokes, this case is testing Nigeria's justice system. Can a man get a fair trial even when his case is politically sensitive? Can judges stand firm and neutral even when the government has a lot of interest in the outcome? Those are the real questions. You see, the way this case goes could affect future trials too. Tomorrow, if someone else is accused of something political, they might point to how Nnamdi Kanu's case was handled, whether it was fair, rushed, or delayed. It becomes a reference point. That's why every move matters. Every word from the lawyers, every ruling from the judge, all of it will go down in history. Now, here's something else that many Nigerians don't talk about enough: the human side of this story. Nnamdi Kanu has been in detention for a long time now. For his supporters, he's a symbol. For his family, he's a son and a brother who's been away for years. For the government, he's a person whose words have strong influence over millions of people. And that's exactly why the stakes are so high. When his lawyer says this case is political, what he's really saying is that the solution might not come from the court alone. It might require leadership, empathy, and honest conversation. Because when political cases drag too long, they don't just affect the person in custody, they affect the whole country's mood. Now, let's be real. Whether you support Kanu or not, you can agree that the tension around this case has affected the Southeast economy. There were days of sit-at-home orders, people afraid to go out, markets closing early. All of that affects ordinary people trying to survive. And those people are tired. They want this case resolved so life can move on. That's why people are saying maybe it's time for the government to consider a political solution. And when you think about it, it's not new. Nigeria has done it before. The government once granted amnesty to militants in the Niger Delta, and that reduced violence there. They've also negotiated with bandits and released some detainees. So the question people are asking now is, why is it so hard to use the same method for this case? Remember to like this video if you're still with me. And if you're enjoying this deep talk, please subscribe too. It costs you nothing, but it means a lot. Now, let's look at how people are reacting. On social media, you can see how divided opinions are. Some say Kanu should be released immediately because his rights have been violated. Others say no, he must face trial like every other citizen. That divide shows you how emotional the story is. And for the lawyer, Abubakar Marshal, it's not just about defending one man. It's about defending the principle that every Nigerian, no matter what they're accused of, deserves a fair process. And that's powerful because when the rule of law collapses for one person, it can collapse for everyone. Today, it's Kanu. Tomorrow, it could be someone else. That's why these legal battles are not just for the people directly involved. They're for all of us. And when you hear deeply political, it also reminds us that some issues in Nigeria need more than police or military action. They need dialogue, understanding, and fairness. People want to feel heard. People want justice that doesn't depend on who they are or where they come from.